Welcome to the Great Card Quest. We are here at Briar Ridge Country Club in, we never know if it's Cherville or Dyer, do we?
It's Dyerville.
Dyerville. We've been here with my wonderful co-host, George Grenchick. Was much more cognizant of the baseball players during that era. I was only not even 7. But this way we bring him in for his expertise and real life advice. So the set's coming along well. We're at about probably 650 cards out of 752. The objective here is to build the 1971 Topps Black Beauty set in PSA 7 or higher. Mostly 7s. The set's progressing nicely. As you know, you've been watching in between these shows every week. We do openings. As I get the cards in, I open them. So that's exciting for those of you that want to go to sleep at night. You can watch that.
Or if you have only a limited life.
It's true. But you're here, so there you go. Look in the mirror. So we... is it good to berate your audience? Probably not.
No, I apologize.
No, I'm
For
doing
the
the
depths
same
of
thing.
my soul.
Yes. So we're going to go through, as we do every show, 50 card, not all 50 cards, but the highlights of 475 through 524. So we're going to go through some of the stars in this major set here, and the next show coming up has some doozies in it.
Oh,
so we're gonna.
I love doozies.
Little secret. We're going to film back-to-back shows at the same location. So and you'll be able to tell because we're wearing the same thing and look exactly the same. So we're not putting anything over on anyone. But Briar Ridge was nice enough to have us come here and do this. But without further ado, and just so you know, I'm building the master set, which is 761 cards. There's 9 variations of cards. The way the series was put out, if you watch the series, you know all about that. And so I am a couple cards away from the master set. So that's 761 cards. The regular set has 752. And as you know, I'll try to give you some numbers of the cards as we go for those that are interested. And in order to read that, I have to lose my glasses. All right, so first card we're going to go for is, we're going to flip these, Mr. Dal Maxville, card number 476. Really not a notable player in my book, just love the name. I remember the name.
The old
what
Cardinals.
Do you know? Yeah, Dal Maxville. Little numbers.
Serviceable shortstop.
Yeah, I just love the name, Dal. Who has the name Dal? There's 125 sevens, 138s, 9 9s, and 0 10s. So, and you're going to see, and if you've been watching the series for new people, I just throw cards in that are cool, names that are cool. All Cubs, Sox, doesn't matter. But I do hit all the major stars. But you know, there's somebody coming up later in this show that has just a great name that you'll love, and in the next show. So, the next one you'll know him, Mr. G. Earl Weaver.
Oh,
card number 477. Venerable manager of the Orioles.
Yeah, I think Earl may have the record of being thrown out of the most games. He was, he gave volatile his name. He was explosively, and he had to be very, very much edited if you've ever seen some of his tirades. But Earl was quite the, not the best friend of all umpires, I don't think.
Well, I bet you're wondering about some stats on Earl. I happen to have those.
I was up at night. Could I think of his?
By the way, when he was a player, he did not make a major league team.
I never heard of him in the majors.
Spent all 15 years with the Orioles. He amassed. He was there from 68 to 82 and 85 and 86. His teams finished. Now this is a great record. They finished number 1 or number 2 in 13 of 17 seasons.
Wow!
So he had a great run. He had 5 seasons with over 100 wins. And 1,480 wins in his career. And he made the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 1996. So Earl was good.
Yeah, it was fun to watch.
The next on the hit list is, another great name, by the way. Didn't do much.
Okay.
Kind of a failure, actually. Bernie Carbo.
Oh, he had a big home run in the World Series or playoffs?
Yes. Game 6 of the World Series.
Yeah.
You remember. Bernie was an all-star rookie. And if you notice, as I pull the cards up, you'll see them pop up close so you can inspect them, freeze them, all that kind of stuff. He was an all-star rookie. He was a decent player, but he never kind of really lived up to his hype, right? He was supposed to be the next.
Well, if you're the rookie of the year or
yeah.
first round draft pick or something like that, you expect a lot. And anybody gets to the major leagues is obviously a good baseball player, but in comparison to everybody else, he was middle of the road.
But his shining moment, and this, me in Chicago, I'm big, right? This does lead back to Chicago in a way. You'll see in a minute why. In Game 6 of the 1975 World Series, he pinch hit, and he hit a 3-run homer, and that tied the game. And guess who came up next to bat?
Carlton
Fisk. The old hit the home run point situation. So he set up the big famous Carlton Fisk, who was later a White Sox, to win the World Series. So that's kind of Bernie's claim to fame.
And an interesting thing is that Fisk's home run is probably the most notable moment of that whole World Series, and a lot of people don't remember that the very next day that the Red Sox lost the World Series to the Reds in a very nondescript game. But anyway,
no, we don't remember that. You remember that.
I remember.
I don't remember that. I was still formative years.
You were still forming.
Forming,
okay, well,
basically, yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah, and I did a lot of forming over the years.
Yeah,
well,
you're filling out nicely, really.
Yeah, thank you. So the next one's near and dear to your heart, Mr. Jeter is a Pirate fan from birth, as you all know if you're watching the series. Manny Sanguillen. Number 480. Yeah. All right. Nice.
Panamanian, biggest smile in baseball, I think. He's just ear to ear, big grin. And I think he might have been one of the first catchers to literally extend his right leg almost on the ground and catch he was really good defensive catch, and he hit fairly well too. Yeah,
there's not much stats wise. He was decent. He was always overshadowed by Johnny Bench.
Oh yeah,
Johnny Bench got all the light, and Manny was just kind of there. I remember him from watching Cubs as a youth, of course. From Panama, as you said, excellent defensive catcher, 3-time All-Star. Yeah. He was part of both World Series winners in 71 and 79. Very good. But like I said, Bench got all the spotlight. And numbers-wise, this is interesting. There's 111 sevens, 226 eights, so double the amount. Yet it was hard to get that card, and 7, I don't know why. 36 nines, and there is 2 10s, PSA 10.
How much is Manny worth?
I'm glad you asked. On 3/14/2018, his 10 sold for $1,516.52. To be specific.
Manny doesn't get a cut of that, though, does he?
No. Manny got back then about $2 because they didn't pay the players much for their images back then. Now they're fighting in court for EA Sports, and it's crazy. And to trace back one, I forgot to mention that Bernie Carbo also has a 10.
Oh.
And he's on 8/21/2011. How much do you think Bernie sold for?
Oh, I don't know. I hope he's less than Manny.
Not much.
Okay.
$1,438.65.
Oh,
U.S. So.
Okay. You buy it, you can round up too, right, for a charity on that.
You can, but we're specific on this show. We don't mess around.
Very good. Yeah.
All right. Next is Gene Michael, card number 483. So he was a Yankee. His nickname, do you know his nickname?
Stick.
Very
Gene
good.
Michael is
Can't get anything by this guy. I try. And we don't pre-rehearse our notes, by the way. This is all from his memory. So
I have a pornographic memory. So
great.
It helps.
That'll be flagged now. We're flagged.
We're done.
All right, we're done.
We're kicked off the show.
It's been fun. Run. All right. He played 1968 to 1975 with 4 teams. But then his big claim to fame was he was a Yankees GM.
Right.
2 stints, 81 and 91 and 95. Much better on his second stint. You may know these names that he was responsible for.
Maybe his nickname was Stint. No, I'm not sure now.
Stent?
Stent? No, I have a stent.
No, his nickname was Stick. Gotcha. He was responsible for either drafting or signing some of these names you may have heard of. Mariano Rivera, Andy Pettitte, Derek Jeter, Jorge Posada.
More successful as wasn't he a manager?
He was
too,
a
right?
GM. Yeah, he was mostly a GM.
GM,
was known
okay.
for. He actually was a GM for the Cubs for a while too. Didn't draft those same players for the Cubs. Thanks, Gene, wherever you are. He has 131 sevens, 238s, 24 nines, and 110. But no sale on the 10s.
No.
Nobody's, at least in the last 25 years, nobody's given it.
Sorry, Gene.
Next, we have one of the infamous Alou brothers.
Oh.
Felipe Alou, card number 495. All right.
There was a time when there were 3 Alous in the outfield at the same time.
Very good.
Felipe,
He always steals my thunder, I tell you. That's good.
Mateo, Matty, Felipe, and Jesus.
Very good. Very good. No sense reading that anymore. And that was in for the Giants, and do you know the date of that? I got you there.
Ooh, no, it was, Matty, it was 1966, won the batting title, so I would say early 70s.
Nope,
No, it has to be before 71.
Yeah.
69.
Nope. On our anniversary day, 9/15, my wife's 9/15, 1963. Not 1963, but 9/15.
Wow. Okay.
We were married a little later than that, like 37 years later. So, so as you see, he played 17 seasons with the Giants, the Milwaukee Brewers, Atlanta Braves, and the Yankees.
He managed for a while, too. didn't he?
Right. Yeah. Later on, he managed, and in front office. They were all 3 brothers were on the outfield on 9/15/1963. That's the first time that ever happened, and he played all 3 outfield positions. Very versatile. Also first base.
Right. And his son ends up being famous. He played with the Cubs, and he was the left fielder who was going to catch a foul ball that may have won the Cubs the pennant.
Bartman.
But a fan reached over, Steve Bartman, interfered with him catching that foul ball, and the Cubs, in their usual way, tanked.
Hate to say it, but the true culprit in that, and we'll do a whole show on this, was the next series with Alex Rodriguez, who booted a slow roller that went through his legs that ended up extending the inning, and they lost the game in the series. So really, it wasn't all Bartman. In defense to you, Mr. Bartman. Sorry. All right. Moving on, we have Mr. You may recognize this name. Card number 500. They reserve those usually for superstars, but Jim Perry.
Oh, yeah.
Good old Jim Perry.
Twins.
He was a
most of
pitcher.
the time.
Yep. Number 500. He won. He won a Cy Young. Had All-Star appearances in 61, 70, with 4 different and
How many
71.
wins? Do you have how many wins he?
Yeah, he had 215 wins.
Okay.
He is the brother of Gaylord Perry.
Gaylord Perry.
Yes,
Knuckleball,
they're
spitball.
brothers. Right. I have some cool brother
Vaseline
facts
ball,
later.
yeah.
They say he used to doctor the ball.
Right.
I don't know how accurate that was, but it was pretty well renowned.
He's known for that.
Right. He only faced his brother one time in 1973 with the Tigers, and they both were removed from the game, but Gaylord lost, so Jim won 5-4 the game. He ended up with 215 wins, 174 losses, 3.45 IRA, 1,576 strikeouts.
It's
So
an ERA, not an IRA. He may have had an IRA.
Did I say IRA?
Yes, you did.
thanks. This is why I have him here to correct me, because otherwise I wouldn't know what I'm
And I've
saying.
been doing it since 1970.
Right. And I haven't even been drinking yet this morning, so we'll see.
Not my fault.
And a brother fact: the Perry brothers are the only brothers in Major League Baseball to both win Cy Young awards.
Oh, really?
So-
That's right. Gaylord did win that.
Yeah, so they both won a Cy Young, so that's cool.
Okay.
This next one is unusual. I don't really do this, but it's Cubs. This is the card number 502, the Cubs team picture. And I just want to kind of discuss this team, and I want you to explain something to me, because I was very little then, and I started following really a couple years later, really knowing what's going on. When you have an infield of Ernie Banks, Glenn Becker, Don Kessinger, Ron Santo, you have a pitching staff that has a future Hall of Famer, Fergie Jenkins, Milt Pappas, and Ken Holtzman. How do you not win?
You're the Cubs. That's just.
How do you not win? I know they blew it in '69. They had the big team, but that is a hell of a team.
Yeah, I don't.
I
I
mean,
don't even know. Do you know
That
what-
infield is was one of the best infields had to be going at the time.
They didn't have an outfield, maybe?
Well, nobody notable in the outfield of any worth compared to the infield, but that infield alone should win you.
Yeah,
that should win you 50 games right there, just that infield.
Yeah.
And then you got 3 pitchers that all won 20 games.
Do we know where they finished that year?
We don't. I'm afraid to look. I'll be honest with you. I'm really afraid. But I just had to ask you. I wanted to ask you on camera. I wasn't around to witness it, but the 69 collapse had to be damaging to the Mets.
Maybe. It's still in their head. I don't know.
I just don't know how you don't win with that. But it's one of those things. Where's Hoffa buried? Who knows? So how you correlate those two, I don't know. All right. So there's 189 sevens, 249 eights, 19 nines, and 0 10s for the Cubs. But the team card's kind of cool. It's got their faces all on it. And the manager was Leo DeRocher. I don't know how good a manager.
Oh,
he
Leo's.
was. Yeah, he'll be
Fun. Another one. Manager was fun to watch.
Yeah, I remember seeing snippets of him a little bit, vaguely.
Yeah, a little combustible.
Yeah, that's what I hear. All right. Well,
So do you know? Are those kind of cards less valuable than individual players?
yeah, pretty much.
The team ones.
Yeah, the team ones are more like technically they're just a filler card, kind of.
Okay.
But the exception of if you go back to show 1, card number 1, the World Series champions Oriole card. They put the champion as number 1. That's very hard. That's expensive card. That's like $120 card because they're the world champions. The first card, but all the other team sets, the Reds have some value because of all the stars in there. But generally, the individual cards. All right, we're almost done here. But the next one, how can we not throw in 513, Mr. Nolan Ryan?
Nolan. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he pitched for a while, I hear.
Yeah, and he's did not get a round number. He's a weird, odd number. Normally the stars get number, but he's 513. A lot to be said. His first name was actually Lynn.
Oh, was it?
Lynn Nolan Ryan.
Okay.
He's a legend. He had 7 no-hitters.
Yeah.
He had 5,714 strikeouts.
Yeah.
But he also had 2,795 walks. So he did walk a lot of people. He threw over 100 a lot, right?
Right. Yeah. Do they have a thing about complete games?
We'll get to that. I think it's in there somewhere.
Is it?
Yeah. I don't know. I've looked it up. He pitched for 27 years with the Mets, Angels, Astros, and Rangers from 1966 to 1993.
I think he's the only player to have his number retired by 3 separate teams.
You are
Astros,
very good.
Angels, and who would it be? Rangers?
Yes. All right. Let me get a pen. Cross that one out. He's the only one to have 3. I love it when he preempts me on these. But yes, he's the only one to have his number retired by three teams, which is great.
Yeah, I always thought that he is like a freak of nature. You know, and then I was
was.
asking about complete games because nowadays, if you get 2 or 3 complete games in the major leagues, you're like a superhero or a rarity.
Right.
But back then, guys pitched a lot more innings, and he threw that hard for that long. Something was up.
Here's the best
He
stat
may
of
have been
all.
a robot. I'm not sure.
I don't know. He was tough. I remember watching him.
guy or
And I remember him because he played well into my
And he
years.
was not a pleasant man always, from what I understand.
Yeah, I can hear he could be a little contentious. He averaged 9.5 strikeouts a game. 8-time All-Star. We got a World Series in 1969 with the Mets. The Cubs, thank you, collapsed.
Yeah.
And here's the coolest thing. He threw a no-hitter in 1990 and 91 at 43 and 44 years old.
Yep.
So, wow. Talk about some durability. He ended up with 324 wins, 292 losses, and a 3.19 ERA. And he was put into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 1999.
Yep.
I imagine he wasn't hard to vote
Quite
for.
a stud.
Yeah,
Quite a dude.
And the last one for today's show is, I think of surgery. Card 520, Tommy John.
Oh, he was named after a surgical procedure.
Yes. Well, actually, they named the surgical procedure after him.
Is that how it went?
Yeah, he didn't have that at birth, but he had it much later.
Thanks for straightening it out.
Yeah, that's what we do here. We keep each other honest. I'm calling it IRA, ERA.
Yeah, that's all
It's
right.
all the same, right? If you don't have an IRA, get one.
If you have a good ERA, you can get a really big
IRA.
Yeah,
Right,
there's a
exactly.
connection.
See that? All right, good. Thomas Edward John. Okay. Oh, and to go back for Nolan for a second, there's 1,274 of his 7s out there. 591 of his 8s, and 31 of his 9s, and no 10s. How'd you like to have a Nolan Ryan 10?
I imagine
That'd be
it. Yeah, a few bucks.
Ooh, yeah. So the reason there's so many of him, as we say, I'd like to remind those that don't collect a lot, the reason there's more of him is because everyone sends them in because they're valuable. Some of the lower, like Bernie Carbos, only have 100 because people just don't send them in. But he has 1,274 7s. So his card should be more expensive, but there's a lot of them out there, so it kind of suppresses the price. He goes for around 400, 450. He should be a $1,000 card, but there's a lot of them. Back to Tommy. I don't want to take it away from Mr. John. So Thomas Edward John was his name. I like to throw out the names sometimes. He began with the Indians in 1963, pitched for 26 years in the league. He was on 5 different teams. The White Sox, yay. 65 to 71, and had 4 All-Star appearances. So that's where he kind of took off. But then he is well known for the Tommy John surgery. And by the way, I never even really knew what the surgery was. Do you know what they actually do?
They repair.
Yeah, but how they do it?
They take it from somewhere else.
Yeah, they take it from they take the tendon from the non-pitching arm,
Right.
and they
He was
put
a
it in the
lefty,
pitching
right,
arm. Yeah. So he was a lefty. So yes, they take
When
the
is that
non-pitching
in
arm.
his career?
That was after his 4th season with the
Okay, it
White
was
Sox.
relatively
Early. So I didn't know what they actually did. I never really thought of it. It's always been Tommy John surgery. You sit out a year, you come back, and you throw twice as hard. Like that movie Angels in the Outfield where the kid had his shoulder rewired.
Well, I tell you, nowadays there's numerous pitchers that have done it. Several that have done it twice, that have had to have it twice. I don't know if it's because the surgeon messed up or I'm not sure, but I know there are pitchers who have had it twice.
Well,
and they still
they
pitch.
credit him with saving a lot of career. I mean, he
sure.
saved so many guys, made people a lot of money. Being the former agent, that's all I really.
They probably
focus on
should
the money.
name the surgery after the doctor more than the guy, but that's
another
thing.
whatever.
When we do our medical quest,
yeah, that's the next one, medical quest. Right.
We can get famous dentists, maybe, or
Yeah, we know a few.
We know,
we know a few.
May have one in the audience.
We may have one in the audience right now. Hello, Ken. Pitched 3 World Series with the Dodgers and Yankees and did not win any.
No,
So,
really?
Unfortunately, he did not get a ring. And they were, ironically, those were both against Yankees and Dodgers. So he lost. He was on the teams that lost both ways.
He was on the right team at the wrong time.
Correct. He ended up with 288 wins, which is, couldn't get that too bad. When you think about this, without that elbow surgery, he probably would have had 300 wins.
Or without the elbow surgery he made, that would have been it after,
Well, that's true. But, yeah,
Gotta look at
2,245 strikeouts, 132 complete games, 46 shutouts, and a 3.94 ERA. So he had a great career.
Yeah.
Tommy John pitched for a long time. Nowadays would have made 10 times the money he made then, but I'm sure he did all right. Numbers-wise, there is a 10. He has 156 7s, 177 8s, 26 9s, and he has 3 10s, which is like, there's only 252 10s total, so he has 3 of them. And guess, depressingly, how much he sold for? $915 2015 sold for
$612.
No, this one's actually an even number. That was good though. $909. So Tommy not getting the love that some of the other players got. Even Bernie Carbo card made more than Tommy John.
You would think in surgeons would bid for that. Or
Yeah, you would think, especially So, all right. Well, thank you once again.
That's quite all right. You're welcome.
George Grenchick, dutiful co-host. We're coming back. It's going to look very familiar.
We are
We're the Great Card Quest.